The 2026 NFL Draft has multiple franchise-changing edge rushers. Stay tuned to find out which prospects could be the highest ceiling out of the group. When I started watching the 2026 edge prospects, I was a little disappointed. There were some big names I was hoping to be tremendous prospects. Didn't really live up to those expectations. But as I started to dig deeper, Ryan, I started to find some serious gems. When you watched this group, what stood out to you?
I think it's a class that is built off of depth. And I think that kind of goes with what you're saying a little bit, right? Like it's not so much a top three and then a massive drop off and then a bunch of just miscellaneous mid-round prospects. Like I do think that there is tiers in this class, and I think there's a lot of guys that I could paint a picture, take a jump, and be borderline first-round picks. I think there's a lot of guys that I could say do the same thing and be potential day 2 draft picks in April comes around. So I think this is a very deep class, Joe. I went super obnoxious, and I ended up watching 35 guys in this class because I'm a little bit of a psychopath, but I just couldn't stop, man, because ultimately there's a lot of talents here. And I think that the coolest part is as we kind of link these guys together and start having these debates of who should be here and what grade this player should have and all those little monotonous things, you're going to be talking about guys in similar buckets that are completely different football players. Like we're going to be talking about stand-up rushers, 4-3 defensive ends. We're going to be talking about guys that maybe could play between an odd and an even fronts, right? Like a little bit more versatile guys. So I think that there's a lot of different body types, a lot of different play styles, and I think this class is predicated and defined by the depth that it potentially has.
Let's jump in by doing as we did on the first show, revealing our 10 through 6s, and then we're going to get a little bit more granular, going one by one for our top 5s. My number 10, Anto Saka from Northwestern. Number 9, Wesley Williams from Duke. Number 8, Ruben Bain from Miami. Number 7, Gabe Jackas from Illinois. And then number 6, R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. Any thoughts there?
I have a lot of thoughts.
Okay.
I'm going to save one player for later. Let's talk about a guy that I like a ton who just missed my top 10, and we actually texted about him over the last couple of days. I actually recommend for you to watch him. Wesley Williams, who is going to be a redshirt junior defensive end for Duke this year, 6'3", listed about 273 pounds, I think, on their official roster. Highlight Wesley Williams for me, Joe, because I like him a lot, but he did narrowly miss my top 10.
Yeah, when I watched him, I was obsessed with the length. I was obsessed with the way that he was able to finish. He uses his length really well, and I thought that he had some pretty nice flexibility. Not great flexibility. That was kind of like the little bit of a standoff point for me where I could have maybe been a little bit more excited for a guy who was listed at 6'5". He's probably going to have 33-plus inch arms. Again, the length is tremendous. Really explosive, too. That was where, when you couple the length with the explosiveness, that is where I can see a guy going somewhere in the end of the third round, middle of the third round, maybe even higher than that as this process goes on and the season goes on. That is something that an NFL team can get bought in on and excited about to just plug in and start. Wesley Williams, though, dude, like I think that he's just like the natural prototype for a day 2 edge rusher. I hope that he builds off of what was a pretty productive season last year to set himself up for, again, being a day 2 pick.
Well, no, I like to mention because and we're on the similar wavelength. I had a top 125 grade, so not getting as granular, but that would be like a borderline third to fourth round grade, like somewhere in that ballpark. I like Wesley Williams a lot. Someone actually asked me last year to watch the other edge, Vincent Anthony or whatever his name is. He's a senior this year. And I remember coming out and I'm like, 97 is the edge rusher to talk about. Like, it's not Vincent Anthony. Like, Wesley Williams is the guy. Last one, and we'll get into my list. Tell me why I'm wrong about Ruben Bain, Joe.
I am higher on Ruben Bain than you are. We had an interesting discourse this weekend about Ruben Bain, and you are not in on him. And I'll kind of not try to completely give away your thoughts. I am much lower than the general consensus because there's people on draft Twitter that are putting out that this is the best player in the class, that this is the best edge rusher in the class. I can't get there. He is a very powerful and aggressive rusher who rushes like a battering ram. He is very thick and low to the ground. I can't get into the first round conversation because of that. He is not twitched up to the degree where he can win despite being so stout. He also is not flexible enough to win despite being so stout. So he needs to be like Jalen Walker explosive in order for him to be able to win at the size that he has. He's also on the heavier side, which is kind of weird. I think that if he wanted to succeed as an edge rusher, he should be built a little bit more like Jalen Walker as a more compact, fluid mover in space type of an edge rusher. But where I see that he can succeed and where he can go in the third round, I think at the very least, you can draft him as a designated pass rusher and he can find success and be productive as an end of the third round, early fourth round pick. Outside of that, I don't see this tremendously high ceiling that everybody else is projecting for him. You had the thought that he should move to defensive tackle, and I actually kind of agree with that. Like if a guy like Kalijah Kancey can play the way that he does, and he's not as athletic as Kalijah Kancey, if he moved to defensive tackle and he moved up to 290, his play style and his build is more translatable to defensive tackle than it is for him to being a stand-up rusher in the NFL.
Well, he's already up around 280 pounds. I mean, I'm just looking at this kid. I'm like, he's not flexible. He's a first step winner, and he does have a good first step. Like, I like his first step, and I think he's explosive and powerful. Like, those things are cool. I just don't think he's ever going to win off the edge because he's sawed off. He doesn't have good length, and he's not flexible. Like, I just don't know what I'm doing at the edge with a guy like a Ruben Bain. So if he's moving full-time inside, and also Miami played him at like 4-4-I a ton, right? Like, they did a lot of like odd man fronts where he was playing in a reduced alignment. So I do think that he ended up being a guy that's going to move inside. My 10 through 6, though. Ready? So let's work through this. Very different lists, by the way. Very different. Okay?
35 guys. So let's put that into perspective there, dude.
Yeah. Number 10, I have Boubacar Traore, the redshirt sophomore edge out of Notre Dame at number 10. Okay. Number 9, Will Helt, transfer from Purdue, Clemson, defensive end. Number 8, Mateo Uiagalelei out of Oregon. I have at number 7, Anto Saka out of Northwestern. And number 6, I have Kenyatta Jackson Jr. out of The Ohio State University.
Kenyatta Jackson just missed mine. My main thing with him is he didn't play a ton.
He did it.
Kind of the same thing happened with
good, Joe. But he's so good. He's so good.
He's a great player, and I think that like Anto Saka, if he played more than Kenyatta Jackson, if he had been on the field a little bit more, I think that his ranking could have been a little bit higher for me. But that goes to show how talented I think he is that he still made my top 10 despite kind of being more on the rotational side. I want to talk about Boubacar Traore that you just mentioned there.
Sure.
Let's go to him specifically because I didn't watch him. He got banged up last year, didn't end up finishing the season, but he was really underrated and an important piece to Notre Dame's early defensive success. I also like to point out that back when we were doing the first team and we were doing team-by-team scouting during the season, I did bring him up very early on after the Texas A&M game. So I take a little credit for that. But what stood out to you about him?
He is listed at 6'4", 247 pounds. He also has crazy length. Like he's gonna be a kid that probably has 34+ inch arms. So he is a long, athletic looking pass rusher. He got hurt this past year, Joe. Only played in 4 football games. But despite that, do you know that he finished second on the team in sacks at Notre Dame this year, tied for second? If he would have played a full season or full slate of games, he would have had around 16 tackles for loss and 10 to 12 sacks, like somewhere in that ballpark when you average everything out. So he was playing extremely well, was just starting to get into his own. His last 2 games that he played before he got injured, I think he got injured in the Louisville game, if I remember correctly. This kid was the best defensive player on the field. And that includes Xavier Watts, Benjamin Morrison. Like, Boubacar Traore was the best player on the field. He is explosive, long, twitched up. And as he continues to add power to his frame, he's very interesting because he came in at like 200. He was at high school senior. He was out of the state of Massachusetts. he was about 250, 255 pounds. He got to Notre Dame and lost a ton of weight. He got down to like 235, 238, and he's slowly building his frame back up. Now at 247, if this kid continues to add power and he gets comfortable when he comes back from his injury and gets back to full health, I think this kid could go in the top 100. I think that he could be a huge surprise in the 2026 NFL draft. Maybe he's a 2027 because of the injury, but man, this kid is the twitchy outside pass rusher that Notre Dame has now needed for several years now.
Selfishly, I do hope that he sticks around until 2027.
Sure.
And maybe that does end up being the case because Notre Dame's kind of had this recent history under Marcus Freeman that a lot of guys stick around for extended periods of time. So that would be exciting for the Fighting Irish. I like him though. I think that just he was one of those guys when you're not like specifically focused on scouting him and you're just watching the team, you're like, man, this dude just looks different. Like this guy is built like an NFL edge rusher. And even if maybe everything isn't super refined and maybe he isn't as twitchy as you're looking for, which he is, but if you just see him on the field lined up, you think like, man, that guy's going to play on an NFL team and is going to be on a roster at some point.
I think he's kind of similar to Anto Saka out of Northwestern, body type wise, play style wise, and the fact that you see it, right? Like there are flashes there where you're like, oh snap, like that's different. But then you just haven't seen it enough at this point, right? So it's a little bit of a wild card. But yeah, I think Traore has a lot of talent.
I just want to really quickly touch on Saka. Let's not go super long on him because I want to get into our top fives and spend more time there. Saka is awesome.
Yes.
He's like, this is a very unnecessary parallel to bring up. He's like the opposite of Caleb Tiernan, his counterpart on the offensive line that's getting a lot of hype right now. I've seen no hype for Saka, despite him being freakishly athletic, while Tiernan is a non-athlete, should not be a first-round prospect. Saka is so explosive. He's got awesome bend. He looks so fluid and just flies off the ball. But he's got no idea how to use his hands. And I'm excited for him because if he learns how to use his hands just a little bit and develop some instincts there, I really think that this kid could end up being maybe like a late first rounder. He's like that talented of a prospect.
He's a freak, dude. Absolute freak. Yeah, I hope he finally puts it together this year because the flashes are great. Also, one of my best friends' name is Anto, and this is the only other time I've ever seen an Anto in my entire life. So there you go.
Number 5 for me is Dani Dennis-Sutton from Penn State. I had a mid-second round grade on him. I am a very big fan of Dani Dennis-Sutton, and I'm very excited by the fact that he took the step that I called for him to have last offseason when we were doing summer scouting. I pointed out, like, hey, this guy that's not getting on the field a ton, he's long, he's super physical, and if he just kind of starts to put things together after getting more reps and he's less rotational, I think that he could go on to be a late first rounder. And he took that step forward, and there's a real chance that one more year sticking around, which I'm glad that he chose to do and didn't enter that insanely deep edge class last year, he very well could be a top 10 pick. The instincts and the hand usage still aren't there. It's still not fully there. But for as tall, long, and strong as he is, and as fluid in space as he is, those are all of a top 10 pick. It's all perfectly summed up, Ryan, by the interception that he had against Notre Dame, where you're looking on the field and you're like, why was he all the way out there in space? And you also ask your question, like, why the hell did Riley Leonard throw in his direction? Because I don't think he expected Dani Dennis-Sutton to be all the way out there in space and moving the way that he can. He checks, again, everything that you're looking for in an NFL top 15 edge rusher pick. He's got it. Just more exposure and the growth from year to year makes me optimistic that he can take this final leap.
So of my top 5 players that we're working through, I have one guy that I have as a top 75 grade, 3 with top 50s, and then 1 first round grade here, Joe. Okay. My number 5 is also Dani Dennis-Sutton. I agree with everything he said. He's long, he's explosive. He's got go-go gadget arms. And that happened on that interception where you just see the length flash, and you see the length flash all over the place. He is super talented. He's just so up and down. His last 3 games of the season were awesome, which gives me hope that something may have just clicked in his mind finally, right? Where it's like, okay, now I get it. But there's still so many just kind of spots where he disappears a little bit. If he is able to tap into his full potential this year and actualize his potential into consistent production from game 1 to game 14 or 15, whatever the heck Penn State ends up playing this year, then yes, I think we are talking about a first-round pick because he definitely has first-round talent. It's just about being consistent on first-round film right now.
All right, since we both did the same fives, I'm going to give my number 4 because you actually already mentioned him. He was in your top 10. Mateo Uiagalelei is my number 4 prospect. This was another player that you and I, as well as others in a group chat that we're in, we had an interesting discourse here.
Yep.
Another player that has the exact physical profile and the athletic traits that I'm looking for in a first round edge. I think that he's less further along for obvious reason that this is a true junior, I believe, or a redshirt sophomore. He's played a little.
I think he's a true
junior.
junior. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is a young kid, but I see a long, well-built frame. He is a physical player when he needs to be, and he's able to be very, powerful when he needs to be. I think that he can also generate some pretty good bend, some pretty good burst, but there's just a lot of inconsistency on tape, especially as a pass rusher. Like I think that he shows some pretty good hand usage where you start to get excited. I'm like, oh man, like I'm starting to see what he's trying to put together, but it's very spotty and it's in spurts. Some of his sack production is kind of like the sake of him lucking his way into some sacks. I think that this year could be a real eye-opener for Uiagalelei if he improves the way that he did from freshman to sophomore year, now going from sophomore to junior year.
What would DJ Uiagalelei look like if you wouldn't have thought he was a quarterback? We have our answer here. He plays for Oregon. It's obviously a joke, but I think Mateo at 6'5", 270 plus pounds, Joe, like he's a really smooth mover, man. Like he's got clean hips. I think that he can turn the corner really well for a guy his size as well. I think the first step is good. I would call him more smooth athletically than I would call him explosive, but he's a very athletic kid. Like he moves exceptionally well. I think there's a power profile there as well, but I just don't think he's an aggressive player all the times. I do think that there's like an aggressiveness tick that does need to kind of go off a little bit more because I do think that it's there. And if it is unlocked, I think that he has a potential to. I had him at number 8 on my list with a top 75 grade. I do think that he could be a top 50 kid for sure. I think there's a world where he could develop into a first rounder if he takes a nice step, but I do think that he's winning off of athletic gifts right now a little bit more than nuance and power. And if all those things become parallels in 2025, I think we're cooking with grease potentially with Mateo.
Final thought on that. I think that you put that very well, that like he's not as aggressive as he can be, but there's so many plays on film where he is physical and he is powerful and he's just manhandling players. It's like, man, like if you could just do that more often, you are a first round defensive end. It just doesn't happen that often. I had wrote down in my notes, there was one play against Washington where Jonah Coleman was running the ball and he's kind of separating from him a little bit. And that is a strong MFer for Washington in their run game. We'll talk about him in the running back rankings video. And he just puts out one hand and just rips his ass down, just drops him, brings him down. Can't do anything, can't get away because he's that strong. Those are the types of physical, aggressive, powerful plays that I think if he does more of, that will make me feel a little bit more certain. And he can be a kick-ass run defender who's a decent pass rusher in the NFL. That will earn him his spot. Who's your number 4 guy?
We want Mateo to play more like my number 4, and that is LT Overton. This guy plays a very physical brand of football. Heavy hands, strong at the point of attack. But he's also a really nice mover for his size, man. Listed at 6'5", 283 pounds. I still have the question mark, Joe, of like, I almost would rather him just go full on, I'm going to be a 3-4 defensive end and play like a lot of 4-4. I almost want it, but he does have the athletic gifts to play on the edge in an even front, So I do think that he has that upside to play in multiple fronts. He is Shamar Stewart syndrome right now. He's so close to being a really good football player. He just misses too many plays, man. Like he just doesn't finish enough. If LT Overton is able to finish more plays, because he puts himself in position a lot, heavy hands, physical, long, good athlete, if everything becomes to the point of that he can finish more plays in the backfield at the quarterback, then this kid is a first round pick, like all day. Like he has that type of upside. Now he will be in almost every mock draft I have this summer because in summer scouting, we are projecting a step to be taken forward. And if he takes a step forward, I think that this kid has all the goods to be a very high end NFL draft pick.
He's number 3 for me right now. And this was one that pissed me off, by the way, because I scouted him for the 2025 draft, like fully expecting him to declare. And then I see the announcement, like after I did my notes, after I did my grading, that he decided to go back. And I was like, okay, all right, well, I guess I'll just go screw myself. But I was able to. I think
it was a good decision, though. I think it was a good decision by him going back for another year. I do.
It was. It kind of, you brought up Shamar Stewart. There are a lot of parallels to be made with his former teammate Shamar Stewart, where Stewart probably could have gone back to school and it would have helped him. He still ended up being a top 15 pick, so it doesn't really matter. 17. I think for LT Overton's case of not so much boosting his draft stock, but improving as a football player, it's going to be great for him. His sack production, awful. He's no sack production. But for how heavy he is and how comically bendy he is, that is stuff that you can't find. I think that this year we could see a nice little jump forward for him and him getting closer to double-digit sacks in his second year at Alabama. He is, for very good reason, somebody who got brought up a ton during last year's college football season as a possible first-rounder, and he still sticks there for me as a late first-round prospect potentially. He's just the smoothest you can possibly get for a thicker defensive end, and I agree with you, maybe him playing 3-4 defensive end might be better for him.
Number 3, I have TJ Parker, the edge out of Clemson.
How high do you have R. Mason Thomas?
We're getting there.
I thought I was high on R. Mason Thomas.
We're getting there.
I text you about guys, and you do this to me, Ryan, all the time. Where I think that oh, I'm out of my mind. I'm so high on this guy. I've got an early second round grade on R. Mason Thomas, and I'm thinking like I'm cuckoo over here. And here you are. Okay, go ahead, TJ Parker.
We're getting there, man. Hey, this is why this show is so good, because this is organic discourse right here, man. Can't let you know too much. TJ Parker, 6'4", about 260 pounds, former high 4-star. Someone had him as a borderline 5-star out of the state of Alabama. Was in the same recruiting class, obviously, as Peter Woods, who we are going to talk about a ton this summer as well as a potential top 10 pick. I love the flashes of TJ Parker, Joe. Like the Pittsburgh game is the example, right? Where it's just like, that's the game where first step, stab, long arm, some flexibility in the lower half, like all that stuff comes to fruition. But this is mostly a power-based rusher. He's not as bendy as a couple of the other guys that we've talked about on this list already, but he's powerful and he really does have a nice get off. Like those things together, they work on the NFL level. There's a game or two though where I watched and I wanted a lot more, man. Like I just wanted more from TJ Parker. He just wasn't as consistently dominant from a game-to-game perspective as I would have loved. So I love the tools, love the frame, the power, the length, the get-off. It's all there, but I do want it to be a more consistent version of TJ Parker in 2025.
All right, spoiler, because we have to rely on, or we have to reveal where guys sit in our rankings.
Yes.
He is edge one for me. He is my number one guy. He
What?
clears for me. We're summer scouting. I'm going to use your reference point every time that we do summer scouting. It's the summer. So I am going to grab the flashes, the highlights, the insane highlights, and I'm going to latch onto those.
Mm-hmm.
He has like the thickest amount of notes that I wrote on a guy for positives.
Okay.
To touch on the negatives. Absolutely, the inconsistency bothers me. It does, because he disappears. Like, let's be very clear. It's not like, oh yeah, no, he doesn't look right. He disappears. He doesn't show. There are a lot of games, Ryan, where he just, you don't see him for spurts. But those flashes were the most out of any prospect of these edge prospects, where I was like, whoa. The Pitt game was the one that blew my socks off. First game I watched him, I'm like, yeah, this is, I can kind of see it. The way that he gets off, he's got the fastest get off out of any of the edge rushers, in my opinion. I think that he plays very physically. I think that he has, when he's on and he is playing with a clear plan, he's got really good hand usage. Again, that doesn't happen often. And I think that he also understands how to play with really good leverage as well to get underneath blockers. All of that stuff to me translates to a guy who can be a 10-plus sack guy on a consistent basis in the NFL. I would not be shocked, though, if we're not sitting here talking about him kind of like we did James Pierce Jr. This past draft, where we got excited by the potential.
Sure.
Takes a hair of a step forward, but not enough for him to be the first edge taken. I think TJ Parker for me is going to be the clearest guy. Like this guy will go in the first round no matter what because he's that talented.
Man, I just assumed that he was number 2 on your list, Joe. I know who number 1 is for you now, but I assumed he was number 2. I just assumed.
No,
okay.
he's number 1 for me.
Number
who's
2.
your number 2?
Number 2. R. Mason Thomas, Oklahoma. Outside pass
rusher. What grade
rusher.
do you have on him? So we have the same grade on him.
I would so top 50, but I would have an early second round grade on R. Mason Thomas. Yes, I would have an early second round.
Okay,
grade.
So we have the same exact grade, but you just put him at number 2. That's the difference.
Yeah. I just liked the consistency more than I saw with TJ Parker. I disagree with you 100%. The best get off in this class is R. Mason Thomas, and he should have the best get off because he's 240 something pounds, right? Like
right.
He should have the best get off. Maybe if we're weighing for weights and all that type of stuff, like, yeah, it's a conversation point. This kid has the best bend in the class. He has a great first step, Joe. I've seen him cross face. I've seen him hit a club rip. I've seen him stab. I've seen him do everything from a pass rush bag perspective. And here's the crazy part. He was hurt the previous year. He was hurt. So this is the maturation he had in 1 year of first major playing time in 2024. I thought was tremendous, man. Absolutely tremendous. There were plays where Oklahoma would put him inside, reduced as an interior rusher, and you would think that he would just get washed because he's not that big. But he's got more strength in his lower half than you would think. He does. He does not have long arms. So I do not think he's ever going to be a stellar run defender. But I am paying this kid to be a 10+ sack a year guy on the NFL level because that's what I think he's going to be. Like this is the Shaq Barrett's type of profile to the NFL, and I would not be shocked if we're talking about a kid that eventually is a 12 to 15 sack a year type of guy. Like I think he has that type of upside as a pass rusher, and I'm juiced up. Every time I watch R. Mason Thomas, because this is how you know I love him, Joe. Every game he pops. Every single one. We talked about how TJ Parker some games just doesn't pop. It doesn't matter if you put on Alabama or you put on Vanderbilt or whoever the heck you put up. Any variations of it, number 32 in Oklahoma's uniform is going to pop tremendously. So yeah, I'm in on R. Mason Thomas. He is what people tried to make Mike Green. This is what Mike Green was supposed to be. This is R. Mason Thomas.
Well, I was going to say I think that this is what people wanted Jalen Walker to be because like they're kind of similar, like smaller, sawed off, not a lot of great length.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the instincts of a pass rusher that R. Mason Thomas did. I would like to peel back the curtain a little bit. This was the text exchange that I had with a Mr. Ryan Roberts over the weekend after I watched R. Mason Thomas. Also, I'm all the F in R. Mason Thomas. Just finished watching it. That was for me.
You're too low on him. Too low on him.
Good player. And then I said, he's got good bend and he's pretty strong, just a little stumpy. That was me being a little mean. You said, yeah, he's probably not going to do much against the run, which was like you clearly were screwing with me. And I said I was surprised by all the plays that he made. And then you went out of your way to point out that he was 6'2", 240 pounds. So I thought that I was going to come in here and piss you off by bringing up R. Mason Thomas in my top 6, and here you are. I just to reiterate everything that you just said, it's hard to consistently win when you have the physical limitations a guy like he does. And whenever we talk about a guy that's a physical outlier, you have to have aggressively compensating traits. The aggressively compensating traits that he has are play strength, understanding how to use his height as a weapon to play with great leverage against the run and to make plays against the line of scrimmage, or at the line of scrimmage rather. And then the first step, just he is so quick off the ball. There were a bunch of reps where I always love, like when I'm watching an edge rusher, pausing mid rush rep and seeing what their bend looks like. And it just happened play after play after play that he's got great bend. And then he'd go on to finish just by ripping through the hands of a blocker and then completely throwing down like Peyton Thorne or something like that. I just finished putting together a cut up that I haven't posted yet for R. Mason Thomas. And as I rewatched it, I was like, man, I really like this kid. He should be a first rounder. Like I really believe that R. Mason Thomas, and I'm kicking myself. I just put out a mock draft Didn't put him in the first 3 rounds, and I'm pissed off at myself.
The first 3 rounds? Oh, he's going.
I hadn't watched him. The mock draft simulator that I was using did not have him very highly ranked.
He almost declared for the 2025 NFL draft and decided to go back to school. I think it was just the emphasis of like, hey, I am coming off an injury of 2023, and I want to show that I can be back-to-back years of health and all that type of stuff. But yeah, man, he's fun. He's a really. Hey, I'll change the text thread. Okay, I'm gonna hit the edit button. He's a really, really good player, Joe. Really,
you were screwing with me. We both had the same. No, your number 1, my number 2 is Keldric Faulk. Reminds me a ton of Gregory Rousseau.
Nope. It's not my number 1. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's no way Keldric Faulk's not in your top 10. You and I have had conversations about him. He reminds me a ton of Gregory Rousseau. We actually had that conversation about that not that long ago, about like how he's long, he uses his length really well, and he's got like a really strong lower body that allows for him to just hold the line of scrimmage. I think that he extends and finds the football super well. The way that he's able to utilize his physicality to win reps, I think, is going to translate very easily to the next level. I just come back with the one caveat, and it's not like a super end-all be-all. I think that his pad level needs to be better, and it's kind of impacted by him having good but not tremendous flexibility.
Yep, no, that's fair, and that's why the comp is Gregory Rousseau. Gregory Rousseau also had a pad level issue coming out of the University of Miami, so there are parallels there. All I'll say here, Joe, length is great. He has the ability to rush both outside and in, like you see him as an interior rusher all the time. If my man is legitimately, because I don't have a verified measurable on him yet, if he is a legitimate 6'6", near there, and 288 pounds, moving the way he does, buddy, top 10.
You think he's 288?
He's listed at 288 by Auburn last year. Last year he was listed at 288. He's listed 6'6", 288. If he is that big, if he is truly that legitimately big, then we are talking about a rare move right now. Because even Rousseau, Rousseau was 270 something, but he was not 288. Like 288's nuts, man. Like he's a couple biscuits away from being a defensive tackle size. You know what I mean? Like he's huge, right? So yeah, if he is a legit 288 or somewhere in that ballpark and he moves the way he does, top 10 pick. Like top 10. I wouldn't even think twice about it. Like top 10 NFL draft pick. Keldric Faulk has the goods.
Very exciting prospect. And as you folks can see, we're really excited about this edge class. Last year's edge class was awesome. This year might not live truly up to that because there's no Abdul Carter, but there are a lot of great football players. Comment below, guys. Who did we miss? Who did we mention that you're excited about? Let us know in the comments. Even drop your rankings. Who do you have ranked in your top 10s? Hit that like button and subscribe as well. We will be back with more. We got running backs coming up next week. We'll talk to you later.